Brodes Media.
This is where I want to start. Before we talk about any sort of fourth down decision, before we talk about Jalen Hurts and maybe where he is throwing the football, before we talk about anything schematically, let's go base level. Let's go surface level. Here's the surface level. The Eagles just went through hell this past week. Why? Well, because of their own dumb actions. But that's not the point. The last 7 days were as gruesome as it possibly can get when in regards to who is the leader of the team. What is happening with the culture in Philadelphia? Why is the head coach acting like a clown? In what world is the offense underachieving? Why is Nick Sirianni still there? And it was out of the norm because it was less about football and more about crazy antics that you just don't see professional head coaches do. So I am sure the last 7 days were painful. They made you angry. Hearing things probably pissed a ton of people off. Right or wrong, I'm strictly talking about what their emotions were like. It wasn't easy. And when that's the case, there's two ways the next game can go. Either it all continues and they unravel and it gets uglier and it gets worse, or there's a stunner. They flip the switch. They play up to their standard. They dominate a team. They kick ass. And we got the latter. From that viewpoint, it's a damn good win. We can peel the layers back, though, and ask, why did the stunner happen? And it's not a stunner that they beat the Giants, but the spread was 3 points. They win by 25, and your defense in 2 consecutive games waxes, and I mean waxes, their opponent's ass on the scoreboard. Right? So, why? Let's start with the head coach. Is it truly Nick and his inspiration? I saw the video, just like everybody else, of Nick Sirianni and Saquon Barkley sitting on the bench discussing, do you want to go get your career high? And Saquon goes, nah, man, let the young kids eat, which is as classy gets. And, truth be told, I even like the way Nick Sirianni handled it. Nick Sirianni is a likable guy, and they like him. I always feel what helps Nick Sirianni is the fact that he's genuine. His players root for him, whether they truly deep down believe in his football mind, that's different. But he always puts himself in absurd situations. And whenever he does, his team has his back. It could be because they feel bad for him. It could be because they know he's going through it. Just like if I know one of my buddies, one of my best friends is dealing with a lot, there's no way in hell I'm not going to be there for him. Even if he embarrassed himself, even if he put himself in that predicament, I'm there. That's their view. It's an awkward way to get there. Just meaning the team fighting and rallying for their coach. It doesn't have to be because you throw around a plant speech or, you just aren't ready for the moment to stand in front of media your first day as a pro head coach, or you bark at fans. Whatever it is, the team responds. There's something to that. Whether I like it or not, There's something to it. So does Nick have a role in it? Yes. Do I think it's as big as Saquon's role? No. I believe what really inspired them most, and I'm just looking at a pie chart here, if we're breaking it down, 50%, if not maybe 60%, is filled with knowing Saquon Barkley was on a mission. Knowing there was a purpose for this game outside of it's a rival, outside of it's the Giants, outside of it's another day to play the game. It's because Saquon was going to make a statement. And he made that very clear when he catches the ball and runs somebody over, knocks him down, and kicks him back 6 feet just by lowering the shoulder. It's a heavy pop. There was a massive headline all throughout New York on a week where the Mets are in the NLCS, the Yankees are in the ALCS, and they're going to the World Series now. Go Dodgers. Ew, that's gross. But that's where we're at. And what the town wanted to see was Saquon Barkley getting shut out by his former team that didn't want him, which is crazy considering he's putting up numbers that relate, if not even better, than his first year in the season when he was a young chicken. When he was just getting a few cracks at it, when he was fresh, when he was ready to pound the rock 1 billion times a game. Now you wonder, he's creeping up there. He's sniffing pretty much past his prime for the running back position. How much is left in that gas tank? Yo, whoa. Someone laid this out to me in my comment section, and I happened to scroll by it. Imagine what this offense would be without him. I don't care if you have DeAndre Swift, who had a nice season for you last year. I don't care if you have Miles Sanders, who had some nice yards for you when he was here prior to getting the contract. This team would be a disaster. A disaster. He has saved your ass. And that's why you spend the money on these type of guys. I also think that he improves the locker room. Losing Jason Kelsey. Losing Fletcher Cox. The guy is an A-plus pro. The guy handles himself with class. And when you lose a few of those men the same year he comes in, you need it. Especially with Nick. Nick needs his guys to tone him down, which is weird considering it should be the other way around, but this is the way this team is built. I find it so ironic that Nick Sirianni sat down next to Saquon and said, coming from an emotional guy, don't be emotional. Yet they spent all bye week wanting him to be more emotional, and then he did it. Isn't that weird? Yo, Saquon, you're going back to your old place. You're going back in front of those fans. They're burning your jersey. Don't be too emotional. This is coming from an emotional guy. It's not good. Yet 1 week ago, you tried to sell the entire fan base that you are at your best when you are extremely emotional. It just doesn't make sense. But then you realized, I guess, through this brutal week that maybe that's not right. Or you got to find your balance, which should have been laid out prior to what went down in the game against Cleveland. It's hard for me to shake that because it's just so bizarre. But anyway, there's one more piece to the puzzle, or piece to the pie chart, if you will. Nick Sirianni is one, as in one of them. The biggest part, as I mentioned, I believe, is Saquon. Nick Sirianni, and the third, and maybe we can find a way to distribute the pie chart properly after I give you it. It's the opponent. It's the opponent. The Giants laid an egg. They're not good. And they couldn't respond to what they knew was going to be a high emotional game. And they folded, they crumbled from top to bottom. Brian Dable, hell, it starts up top, right? We all saw the Hard Knocks. It starts there. And it just falls and collapses underneath of everybody else with the pecking order. But they had no balls, they had no toughness, and they got annihilated in a game that, quite frankly, probably should have been two teams that were rough, and one just had to find a way to win at the end. That's what they've both been all year long. So for the Eagles to have that type of swag in this game, either the Giants had a rude awakening or they just laid an egg at the worst time, and this was one of their stinkers of the year, or the Eagles have this in their bag and they're going to continue to flourish it, or they just had the response they needed to all the noise about Saquon Barkley. And it's easy to rally behind such a great dude who knows he can tear up his opponent, who knows he's going to have almost 200 yards and probably a couple touchdowns if it wasn't for the damn tush push, which would have made a ton of people in this area happy because the player props were out the wazoo in the South Philly area. I went with over 79.5 yards and 1 touchdown is what I needed. So my parlay hit, and it was beautiful. But I know a ton of people went for the 2 tutties, and he probably should have had 2, if not 3. That's just the way she goes sometimes. So why did I waste time running through some obvious things, you think? I believe what I really wanted to get to with all of it is Nick Sirianni had his team rally. It happened. That's what we needed. It is. It's what we needed. Whether you like how we got here or not, whether you trust the quarterback, whether you have concerns about the passing game, whether you wonder if the defensive line is only winning and getting home because of the current state of the Giants line, I don't know where you fall on all of it at. And I'm in this combination of both. Maybe it's 33, 33, 33. What if we broke it up that way and it was distributed cleanly throughout Sirianni, Barkley, and the opponent's lack of skill? Would you say that that is fair? Would you say that that's unfair? Because something that I heard all throughout today was, if you are going to annihilate the head coach for not having the team prepared to play in other games, when they are ready to throw haymakers and they connect and they get a win where it was sensational, doesn't he deserve praise for the CEO and the preparation? Yes. Yes. And this is me giving him that. I think he does. Although I don't think they were as prepared as you say they were.